Howdy, and welcome back. I got my head chopped off, but well, a little bit. But so made some progress on the gauge cluster. I'm working with a chop saw, so there's a couple of the edges that aren't like absolutely beautiful, and I just made both edges the same on the degrees instead of because the edge of this one is a little bit different. It was like 4 degrees, and this one was like 2 degrees, so I just made them both 4 degrees. So if you look really carefully, it'll probably be annoying, but it is what it is. Doesn't bother me, and that's fine. So we've got that all trimmed down. I don't think they're going to interfere with the steering column or anything like that. So I've got my measurements here, where the edges are, kind of where the bottom is, the top. I traced out a couple of the tack and the speedometer here, but I'm not actually going to use that because I wanted it down. I think it needed to be down just a little bit lower. So I've got my little measuring stick here. So we are just going to line that up the best we can here, and then try to, and then we're gonna scribe our mark, because that's where we're actually going to want the thing to sit. Or that's where we're going to want to actually make our cuts, because we need a lip for the gauge cluster to screw into. So there's that. There's those marks. There's that. How do I want to do that? I really don't want to cut. I don't think I have to. No, I don't think I have to. I want to leave that as intact as possible. So we're just going to line up right with the bottom of that idiot light, and we're just going to scribe a mark right across that baby, and then draw some arrows to indicate that that's where we want to cut. And we may end up trimming some out throughout there, which is fine. Okay, and then that line, I think I'm just going to follow this as close to flat as I can. This top is actually a little bit domed. But honestly, once this is all together, all you're going to see is the gauge panel anyway. So it's not going to be that big of a deal. Yeah, and again, I'm just going to line that up with the top best I can there. Not rocket science, although it may seem like I'm making it rocket science. It's one of my superpowers. I can overcomplicate just about anything. Hey, that's pretty cool. The back of this little ruler stick doohickey's got a fraction and decimal conversion chart. Really hard to see, but that's pretty cool. Okay, and then we're going to line up this side over here, and then we're going to make those marks, and we're going to make those marks. All right, so I am actually going to do this off camera, just because it's going to be absolutely obnoxious to do it on camera. So I'm going to go ahead and kill the camera here for a minute, and we'll pick it up in a minute. I don't know how many times I'm supposed to hit this button to stop the camera. I'm supposed to just be able to hit it. All right, we're back. Did some stuff on this. Actually, I showed you that in the last one. Or not last one, but the beginning part. Anyway, proceeded to make an absolute mess out of this guy. That smelled horrible. This 80s plastic is just, oh my goodness. And there's probably different ways that I could have done that, but I just used a Dremel and a cutoff wheel and smoked myself out and, you know, fumigated my room and asphyxiated myself. And once I passed out, it went a lot smoother. But yeah, man, I don't know. I mean, I know it seems dumb to say, you know, oh, melted plastic things, but like that stuff was, whew, that was stanky. So let me move some stuff out of the way here, just so it's not as, oh boy, not as obnoxious. All right, so what I've got here done now, and I think I'm going to probably have to move the camera down so you can see what is doing. Tighten that thing up. Okay. So where is the Sharpie? So we're going to, and this may not be the final put together of this. In fact, I'm sure that it's not going to be. But with the panel placed, I want to make sure that all of our gauges are going to clear and I don't need to do any further trimming. So the only way I know to do that is to mark some holes, put in some screws, and then I can tell right there we're going to need to take a little bit out, but that way then with it fixed to the unit, I can take my Sharpie and I can mark it out, and then I can go through and cut more. And I know to some of you this is probably redundant and super boring, and you're like, why don't you just get on with the project? And that's fine. But I'm having fun, and frankly, I've never done this before. This aspect, like I've worked on cars and stuff before, but I've never actually put together my own custom gauge cluster before, so this is kind of fun. And I figure if somebody wants to tag along and watch the progress and the mistakes that I make along the way, and or has criticism as to, you know, what I could do better, I'm always open to that. You know, I mean, don't just get on there and be like, oh, you're a dumbass, you didn't come out of the womb knowing everything, because, you know, there's those guys. But no, like seriously, if I'm doing something and you see something that can be done better or could be done different, or you know, you've got a method to make something simpler, drop it in the comments for sure. I'm always open to that. Hopefully this drill isn't too horribly obnoxious on the camera. Or not so much on the camera. On the camera it's yellow. In the audio. Let's see here. Always use your finger as a backer behind what you're drilling. So that way when it goes through, you know that it went all the way through. Don't do that. All right, screwdriver. There are plastic pieces all over the floor in here. I'm going to need to sweep. Sweepy, sweepy. All right. This has got to be by far one of my favorite screwdrivers. It's an old Credo. I don't even know if they make them anymore. It says USA on it, so probably not. All right. Now, is that how I had that guy set up? Okay. So, this one is going to go right there. These are probably about twice as long as they need to be, but they're what I had, so. And they are well within the type of hardware that I would use for this, so. Oh, biscuits. All right. Trying to do this without ripping the thing in half, without that bridge piece there for the column. That took quite a bit of rigidity out of this thing. Oh, I can't put a screw there. I'll have to do one here and one here. That'll improve the strength immensely. Or, you could have just not cut it in half to begin with, dum-dum. Now, why did I, miss my mark or what? Let me back these off a little bit, because that hole, I thought I marked those holes fairly accurately. They may have been just a touch off, but that's why we're playing with it. Playing with it. Okay. So there's that. And I am going to come back through. This thing's going to go on and off several times. I'm probably going to, on my final install, I'll probably put some foam tape behind it as a vibration barrier between the truck and the gauges. Just, I don't know, to make myself feel better. I don't know if it's actually going to accomplish, well, it'll accomplish something. I just don't know if it'll be a beneficial something. Okay. So, this is what we have ended up with so far. And if I do say so myself, that is too cool. I am really happy with that. It's not perfect. You can see, I don't know if you can actually see it or not, on the top here, there's a little bit of a belly. That's actually it bit in a little bit right there. The saw blade bit in just a little bit right there, but that's actually part of the design of the dash. So this is a straight cut on the aluminum. I just didn't want to mess with the matching the contour and bellying it out, and that just seemed like a little excessive. So we are going to, this actually looks really good, guys. This looks so cool. So we're going to take our Sharpie, and we're going to, right here, we're going to come in, and we're going to take out just a little bit more right there. We're going to come in here and take out just a little bit more. Over here, we definitely need to take out more, because that's all up in its business. We're going to take out a little bit more there. This one's actually okay. I think I'm going to take just a little bit more there. We're more than good on the speedometer and the tack. So we are going to do two things here. We are going to mark. I really want to put 2 more screws here. So if I do 2 more here and 2 more up top, I think that'll be good. I don't think we need to do more on the side, and we can always change it later. So we're going to go like here, 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 and here. And it really doesn't bother me if the screws are not perfectly aligned with each other. That is perfectly fine. In fact, the way this piece of material is cut, that would actually be somewhat difficult to find a consistent measure point, just because it's not perfectly square, and I'm not that worried about it. Doable. I'm not saying it would be impossible or not even not worth it. Oh, while I'm sitting here talking in circles, not making any sense, that reminds me, in my previous video, I started a thought process and I never finished it. I started to say that I am to a point with my Jeep that, and then said that it wasn't, just a mall crawler, didn't have a bunch of bolt-on useless stuff. Anyway, what I was saying was, my finished thought was that I want to do what I want to do with the Ranger, because my Jeep is kind of at a point where I don't really want to just beat on it. Whereas, the Ranger, I'm a little more okay with it, getting dented or scratched or whatever. It doesn't bother me. Okay, so those two actually ended up almost perfect with each other. And then, yeah, that one's a little bit off. I'll move it over. I know I just said it would be difficult to do that, and then I was like, oh, it won't be difficult. I got a square. Because these two sides are still parallel. Well, these two sides are parallel each other too, but they're at some weird degree angle. I don't know. So we are going to drill some holes real quick. Hopefully this isn't terribly obnoxious. Believe it or not, I am trying not to be all snivelly and on camera. So, all right. Well, I'm going to take a quick break. I got to do a little bit more cutting out on this now that I put my Dremel away. I got to do a little bit more cutting out on this guy. The factory side of the dash, and then we're gonna hopefully put some gauges in this thing and put the two together. Probably not the final assembly, because like I said, I mean, I still want to, I want to go through, I want to round the corners. I probably should do that before I put the gauges in, now that I think about it. I might do that with a whiz wheel. I'm not going to like radius them out real beautiful. I just want to knock them down so they're not sharp. So anyway, yeah, we're gonna do some of that stuff. Get it to where it's more, put togetherable pieces, and then we'll be back in a minute. All right. Well, I wish this thing would stop as reliably as it starts. Turn the video off, and I'm sitting here like, Okay. So we got our measurements. What were we doing? We were cutting stuff out. That's what we were doing. We got our cuts made. Got this prettied up a little bit. Knocked the edges down a little bit. Like I said, I didn't do like beautiful radiused edges or anything. I just kind of took a 36 grit whiz wheel and knocked them down. That's about the nature of how beautiful I'm going for. So we'll just pin the corners here real quick so we can get our marks. I think there's meat there. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There's meat there. Okay. Here's that. Here's that. Did I get a mark? Kinda. There we go. Good enough. All right. So we'll pop this off. But you know what? I could probably just run the little drill bit right through there and just call it good. That being the case, then I'm actually gonna go ahead and tighten these. I didn't even think of that. I've been at work all day. That's my time to think. This is my time to doop-de-doo and just kind of fiddly fart along and figure out what I'm doing as I go. All right. There's that. Okay. Use it like a speed drill. Yes, I know that's not how a speed drill works. You can view my armpit there. I know that's why you watch the channel, for up close armpit views. Oh man, that went through almost one of the factory rivet spots. Okay, that's gonna need a little bit of a backer to hold it. Like I said, always use your finger as a backstop for your drill. That way you know when you're all the way through. All right. Yeah, don't do that. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and start that guy. And this will, screwing this back on, especially having these two screws here in the bottom where we took all the structural integrity out of the panel, this will put that structural integrity right back in it. You know, one thing I did not factor in here is this might have to come off again because the gauges don't interfere with the column, but that piece of aluminum sure does. Here's that piece we cut out. So I think, how am I going to do that to where it looks clean? I might have to do that with a little buzz saw, or not a buzz saw. I don't know what it's called. It's a little pneumatic saw. It's a handy little thing. It uses there's like a hacksaw blade that can fit it. But it uses like a little blade. It cuts aluminum pretty well. And I think if I go slow and take my time and clean it up, I think I can make it look pretty nice. So, but yeah, I didn't even factor that in. I was so concerned that the gauges were going to clear the steering column that I didn't factor in for the panel at all. Okay, there's that. Put this guy in. That looks really cool. I'm pretty happy with where this is going. All right, so now we can take this, knock all the burrs off of it so it lays in here kind of like it originally did. So that is going to go, where's that knife? That's holding it up, and we don't want that. Okay. All right, so we just kind of evenly split the difference, I guess. So there's that. So we're going to go ahead and take our Sharpie and just take a preliminary mark here on the back. And now, mind you, there was like this thing, the little rubber surround that kind of went around the column too. So we may not need all this space, but it's not going to hurt anything. It's not getting into where it's going to affect the gauges at all. I am going to go ahead and put the gauges in. I'm probably going to have to take them back out again, and that's fine. Like I said, this is going to be in and out, in and out, in and out. Sounds like fun, huh? So for now, let's go on ahead and see what we have ended up with here. I like it. The top does look kind of funky with that dip in it. It looks like it looks like my cut is just crooked as heck, but that's not the case at all. My cut's almost perfectly straight. Like I said, the saw blade jumped a little bit right there. That'll get your attention. So Yeah, let's go on ahead, and I am going to go ahead and take a wrap of the thread tape on the tachometer as well, just because I do not want to risk these gauges just, randomly falling out. Not that I think the tack would, because the retainer on it seems pretty decent. But I'd rather do it once and not have to do it again. So we're going to go on ahead and get that guy. Okay. That's pretty darn straight. I almost want to take a little bit more on that, or another wrap. And on final assembly, I probably will. But for right now, I don't want to waste my Teflon tape, and it is doing what I need it to do at the moment. It just got to hold her together. Okay, is it not tightening up? Okay, well, not very well. All right, well. Okay, so yeah, on final assembly, it will definitely need a little bit of extra Teflon tape, which is okay. All right, so we decided that, what are we going to do? How are they normally laid out? Fuel's normally like over here. Fuel and volts are like next to each other, or fuel and, I feel like maybe fuel and oil pressure should be next to each other. That seems like a good friendship. My fuel will be friends with my oil. They are distant relations. Okay, so that's not perfect, but that's fine, because I don't want to waste a bunch of time right now getting it perfect, because I'm just going to have to take it off again. Ooh. Hopefully that sucker comes back out. That one seated in pretty tight. Oh, this darn chair. Sitting on the ground. Okay. So, we're going to do, we'll do volts down here. Volts. And Now, there's like a little alignment diddly. I might have to nib that off so these lay flat. That is just really frustrating that speedometer retainer is so dumb. I like these gauges. I've used these gauges in the past, and I'm not, it's not something that I'm gonna return it over because, to be honest, it was probably a batch issue. And I can just put a little bit of thread tape on it and it'll be fine. I've just never had that issue with these gauges. I've used them several times before. Oh, that looks cool, guys. I am beyond happy with how that, let me get it closer to the camera, with how that has turned out. That is just too neat. So the next step, obviously, I'm gonna have to take it back off. This just shows, what it's going to look like, and that there is actually some progress being made, and that it will eventually be back in the truck pretty soon, actually. And that I made a custom gauge cluster. That's pretty cool. So anyway, still got to get a fuel cell for the fuel gauge. Well, I don't need a fuel cell for the fuel gauge, but I'm going to put a fuel cell in the truck. And I think it comes with a sending unit, and I have a sending unit. So between one of the two sending units, it should talk to the fuel gauge. I think it's a 0 to 90 ohm or something like that. Oil pressure, that's obviously pretty self-explanatory. Water temp, volts, miles per hour. It's mechanical, so we like that. RPM, figure out what my red line is and my rev limit and all that. So yeah, super excited. Super excited. This makes me happy. That is good progress, and I am thrilled. So I think I'm going to go ahead and cut it off here for this one. Thanks for hanging out with me. Let me see if I can do this without tearing everything in half. Let's move the original template. We're going to hold on to that original template because before this is all said and done, we'll probably need it. So this obviously isn't going to be finalized until, like I said, I got my guy coming out on, well, that didn't work at all. Let's see if I can do this to where it doesn't fall. Cool. I got my guy coming out in February, so we're gonna look it over. I'll get the gauges in it and everything, so he's got stuff to wire. We're gonna do it pretty bare bones, and then she'll start looking like a project truck and less like a pile of crap. Well, it doesn't look like a pile of crap. I like it. Might look like a pile of crap to you, but I don't care what you think. Anyway, if you like the content or have an idea how to make that stand up, like, subscribe, share, do the hokey pokey, dance naked in the shower, eat glue, don't eat glue, do what you do. I'm going to sit here and stare at the camera like a moron until the video's over.